This conversation with Lindsay may be my favorite conversation to date on the InWork podcast when we're doing an agency deep dive. The reason why is because there's something really beautiful for me when I get to say something that someone else has never thought of. And in this episode, we talk about the different ways to niche, because there's so many different ways to niche in an industry, which is what most people think of, in a service. But there's also ways to go about niching that allow you to provide other services on the back end, even if you niche in a service or if you niche in an industry. And so Lindsay and I get into it, and I just felt a deep connection with Lindsay and really enjoyed her energy, her thoughts, and her love for her people, her love for her staff. So I can't wait for you to listen to this. Let's get into it. Lindsay, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. This is going to be so fun. I already love your energy. It's going to be great. All right. So before we hit record, we were talking about like the biggest challenge that your agency is dealing with right now. I'd love for you to tell us what that is, and then we'll dive into it.
Sure. I'm super happy here. I think, like many other agencies, we have been in business for 8 years, and we've grown really organically over 8 years, right? So my network, referrals, those different kinds of things. And in order to grow a little bit more expectantly, in a way, we feel like it would be in our best interest to really dial in like a niche that we serve really well. I think it'll help us attract that target audience more than just from a referral basis or networking basis. But I think it will also help my team dial in their deliverables so that we're able to deliver in a more efficient and effective way and boost our margins at the end of the day. So that's what I'd love to talk to you about today.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, so when you think about niching, there are two ways that I always think about niching. I know that at least what I could see on your website, you guys are promoting that you're a full service agency. So I like to say you can either niche down into an industry vertical, or you can niche down into a service vertical. What have been some of your discussions about industry or service? Like where are we at in the conversation, I guess? Catch us up there.
Yeah, so we have all different kinds. So let's do service first. So from a service perspective, we've staffed up as a full service agency. So in order for us to niche as a service, I'd have to reallocate some of my talent in a way that aligns with that, right? And
Sure.
so I'm not as interested in niching from a service just because like I'd either have to let people go or I'd have to get a lot of training.
We're gonna talk through that because there's actually a way for you to do it without any of that being the case. But okay, keep going.
Oh, good. Okay. I'll be interested to talk.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I like my people. But I think the other big thing is from an industry perspective. And what I worked with on that is we have a really wide variety of industries, everything from like people who rent laser equipment to med spas to software as a service for the construction industry to, all that different kinds of stuff. And so what I tried to do was basically evaluate who are our best clients. And they seem to be like B2B service organizations. And one of the things that we have a tendency to deliver to them would be like a full suite of marketing services. So we would be a fully outsourced marketing department for service-based businesses in about the like low millions. So 1 to 3 million. I'd love to pause and like get your feedback on that, but I'd also love to to just turn around already and ask a follow-up question like, is that too broad of an industry anyway? Like, should we be focusing on all like law firms or, fractional CFO companies or the,
Yeah.
So I guess I'll stop talking and see what your feedback is.
Okay, so let's talk about a way that you could. This is not like you have to, obviously. It's your business. You can do what you want. But one of the ways that you could niche down into a service while also keeping your people is by thinking through this a few different ways. So one way we can think about this, Lindsay, is Is there a service that most of your clients come in and it's their foot in the door to working with you in other services?
So most clients come in the door looking for one of two things. I need a website, or I need a website refresh. The other one is they come in saying, I want more leads, essentially. And so we either say, we'll either build or rebuild you a website, and or we will build you a marketing plan that will outline the monthly deliverables that we can either do for you or do with you that will result in you getting the leads that you're looking for.
Whenever someone comes in, they say they need more leads. You put together a marketing plan. How often, you don't have to give me specific numbers, you can just guess. How often do you end up redoing their website because their website's their digital storefront and it's broken?
We almost always touch it, whether it's a full rebuild or it's like we have a marketing plan that's very campaign oriented. So we need a landing page and we need different kinds of web assets. But yeah, we almost always mess with the website.
Okay. So I love to give advice, Lindsay, on things that I did or have done or am currently doing. And if I haven't done them or I'm not currently doing them, I don't share it. So this is one of those moments where I'm going to tell you a story and it's going to illuminate maybe a little bit of an idea for you. So one of the things in my first agency that I owned that I realized was happening was we were a full service agency. That was killing us. It was also keeping the revenue high. But what I realized was we were in the exact same spot you're in now. I had lots of different industries represented. We had lots of good case studies that were very diverse. But I started to look at what people were coming to us for initially. So for us, it was Facebook and Instagram ads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I decided to do was I thought, I don't want to niche down into an industry vertical, which is a very valid thing to do. And I've done with other companies and agencies. I wanted to niche down into a service, but I didn't want to lose my people. So the exact same conversation. And we were doing over 7 figures at that point, but the margins were tight and I was working my tail off to service clients and make sure everybody was happy. So what I started to do was I flipped over the website and I said, we are the premier Facebook and Instagram advertising agency on the planet. Okay. We'd work with them on their Facebook and Instagram advertising. And then we'd say, hey, I was looking at your website. I have some ideas. The next time that we meet 2 weeks from now, can we show you some mock-ups of what we think we could do with your website? And they would go, I didn't even know that you did websites. Yep, we do. And it's one of the things that we do really well. In fact, our best clients, what they end up doing is they typically engage with a lot of our marketing services that we don't talk about on the front end of our website. They go, oh, what else do you do? Oh, we do email marketing, and we'd list it off. And they go, oh my gosh, can I get a proposal for this, 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 and this? Yep. But what did we get them in the door? We got them in the door with Facebook and Instagram advertising. And what it meant for everybody before, when I had my website looking very similar to yours, was that people would come to me, and I don't know if this has happened to you, Lindsay, but people would come to me a lot, and they were like, your website's beautiful. I go, oh, thank you, that's so kind. They go, I have no idea what you do. And they go, I know that you like do some social media stuff, and you do some like website stuff, but I don't get it. And it's because when you have so many services, no one knows how to interact with you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right?
Most of the time people come to us because they're like, Brian sent me, he told me to talk to you. I looked at your website. It looks like you guys know what you're doing, kind of thing. So, but it's not, we're not capturing leads because of that reason.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that's happening right now is you're building your whole agency off referrals, which is fantastic because it's a high close rate. They usually are very loyal, and it's really hard to scale.
It's a lot of time, and I don't know that many people. I mean, it's hard to like exponentially grow how many people right?
Yeah. Yeah. So what if you went down and you decided, hey, we create, you could do a whole bunch of different directions with this, but you could say like, hey, we generate more leads for your business every month so you can grow it and scale it. And they go, cool, I need more leads. Because everyone comes to you and they're like, I need a result from you, Lindsay. I'm not looking for anything but a result. So if they go, okay, well, Lindsay's agency is going to generate more leads. That's what I need. Okay, they come to a sales call with you and they go, okay, how do you do that? Say, well, most of our clients, what they need is they need at least a refresh of their website, if not a complete overhaul. And then they also need a marketing plan that's pretty intelligent around that also. And they go, oh, cool. When you say marketing plan, what do you mean? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So that's a way for you to start to increase, and that'll give you a space for outbound, which we'll talk about in a second, that people can really quickly understand, here's what you guys are up to, here's how you can help me. But it would also give you something that's really easy for you to have the same conversations you have right now, or similar.
Yeah.
And you can spin that messaging a whole bunch of different ways. You could be like, we create websites that increase lead generation by an average of 34% or whatever it is. Like you guys have case studies, you have numbers.
For sure.
And again, at that point, people kind of have an idea. If you go the industry route, you're going to want to create a small pond. So B2B service providers, too big. Doing something like, I know, it's a bummer. Now listen, it doesn't mean that, obviously, it doesn't mean that you're going to stop servicing the clients that you have. You're going to keep those around. What's going to happen though, is that you're going to create a small pond where you are putting a lot of lines. Do you fish at all? Is this a good analogy for you?
You can keep it going. I know now. I live in Colorado.
You know how this is. So like, if you're in a massive lake and you throw 3 lines in the water, not that big a deal. If you're in a small pond and you have 3 lines in the pond, that's kind of impressive. You're making a dent in the fish opportunities out there. And so if you're going to go the industry route, it would be like, we service top lawyers and make them the top lawyer in their given city or metro area. And you would pick, like, I don't know, cities that have or could have a professional sports team in the US. And you say, look, I only work with one lawyer from Denver. I work with one lawyer from Jacksonville. And you would just like cherry pick, and you could do outreach that way and say, we're the agency that works with law groups. We help you be the most established, biggest law group in your metro area. We only work with one of you at a time in your given area, and then we work with other lawyers in different parts of the state or country. And
can I ask you a question about that before you go on? Because I think that I heard that on on a different podcast I was listening to where you were a guest, and that was interesting to me. And I wonder if you could almost tier it. So you say if you're a tier 1 market, the top, then I work with 3 in a tier 1 market, but in a tier 2 market, I work with 2. In a, any of the rest of them, it's 3. So at least you're not saying I only work with 1 person in New York. It's like, well, I'd like for you to pay me a lot of money, please. But
but you could do that. You could say, look, I only work with 1, so there's an exclusivity price tag to it. So like, honestly,
I like.
If you went to someone in New York City and said, look, we can do 1 or 2 packages. I can work for you for $7,500 a month, and it's a non-exclusive opportunity. You want to be exclusive? It's $20K a month. But I'll only work with you. I'll only rep you. I'm exclusive to you in New York City. You're going to do the same work, Lindsay. Think about the margins on that. Think about what that does for your employees and for you and your family to have more profit. You just added $12,500 a month. $150,000. You're doing the same work, but you gave them exclusivity. Well, you're not going to give them exclusivity for the entire state of New York. You're going to want to go pick up Buffalo, and you're going to tell them that. Listen, Rochester, I'll give you this metro area, but I'm also going to do Buffalo. I'm also going to do Jersey. You know what I mean? And so then at that point, it becomes one of those conversations where it goes, well, okay, if you had 50 clients that we're paying you 20 grand a month. Do you care? Right?
Yeah.
You're making
Yeah, you're right.
you're making $1 million a month. Do you really need another client in those areas? You don't care. So you're a $12 million agency. Your exit's going to be fabulous. Your monthly is going to be amazing. Like, you're killing it. So I think it's just looking at
Yeah.
it like that. You could totally do something like that and it would work for you. And they could say, I don't have 20 grand to give you. And you go, great. I'd love to work with you. We'll only work with 2 other people or 2 other law firms in your same spot. But see, when you do that, you're giving them a discount. You're saying, look, I'm giving you a 10% discount because if I was going to work with 2 other law firms, it'd be $22,500 a month. I'm offering it to you for 20. Great. Awesome. That sounds fantastic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot.
So you could still do that, but you're going to need to either do the, hey, this is the one service that we have on the front end, or you do the, hey, this is the industry we work with and we do all the things for them.
Would you ever do both? So would you ever like take this as an example, right? So like we've just done a number of Squarespace sites for service-based businesses. Would
Cool.
you ever combine them and say, we are the premier Squarespace website builder for service-based businesses, you know, for fractional CMO businesses or CFO businesses, because the CFO guys, like,
Yeah.
they want to own their own market from a network perspective, but they could work anywhere. So it doesn't really, you know,
Right.
would you combine them or is that too much?
I think that you could totally combine them. I would make your pond into a lake. I wouldn't make it ocean size, but like I think that you could go bigger then, and you could say like, hey, you know, we work with fractional CFO, CMO, and CRO.
HR.
Yeah, or HR. Right,
Yeah.
right. You could kind of do like some other things. It would be like you know, fractional C-suite companies, and like we do their websites. Yeah, totally. Like that could totally be a thing.
So don't turn your pond into a puddle is what you're telling me.
Right. Yeah, and so it's and it's like, okay, so let's say that, do you know how many fractional CFOs there are in the country? I don't even know.
No, but I could, you know.
It would be, I'm sure it's I'm sure it's a lot. So the numbers are,
it's in the hundreds of thousands.
yeah. So the general rule is at any given point in time in your total addressable market, 3 to 5% of the people that are in it are actively looking for your solution. Whatever the solution is, 3 to 5% are looking for it. So I always like to play the game, Lindsay, where I'm like, okay, cut the 3% in half. 1.5% are looking for it. So if there's 10,000 people in your total addressable market, right now, 150 clients are looking for you. They just don't know that you exist. So how can you show up and be in front of them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, you could totally do websites for fractional CFO, fractional CMO, whatever.
Yeah. Do you see anything with the economy these days of like which direction? Because it feels to me like really doubling down on an industry right now with the economy being sort of weird might be more dangerous than doubling down on a service that's like everybody needs a website, whether the economy is good or bad.
Yeah. I tend to double down on a service. That's my jam for the reason that you're stating, is it's like, so the one-to-one marketing firm that I own, we kind of have 2 big verticals. One's agencies and one's SaaS companies. SaaS is just getting annihilated. Like they're getting crushed. And so it's just almost totally gone away because they're cutting headcount left, right, and center. I mean, it's really nuts. It used to be our biggest vertical. Well, now we're getting more B2B parts. Like they're actually selling like equipment and heavy machinery and things that do things. We're using the exact same model, but because we're nimble in the space, we're fine. We don't feel like we're handcuffed at all. So that's why I like that. It's cool that we were like, okay, so we know that these are where we have good case studies, we've got good results, and it gives us a competitive advantage to be like, hey, you know, 80% of our clients or agencies are SaaS companies. And people are like, oh, well, that makes me feel good. How many clients do you have? We're 104. Oh, wow. So you've got a lot in my space. Yeah, we do. And so people like that still, but it also allows you to be like, it's okay. And so what you could do too, if you have a long runway, and I don't know what your runway's like, you don't need to share, but if you had a long runway of cash flow, you've got lots of clients who are sticking on board, you could take the industry approach and just realize that that's a long play. So you'd go, and this is a good thing for you to just think about for yourself. What do you want, Lindsay, as the owner?
Yeah.
I think we want to wait 5 years. Huh?
Yeah. And I think we like the variation, right? Like, I feel like as interesting as marketing law probably laws for or marketing for lawyers probably is, like, I think my team would be like, oh my God, if I have to build another, how many other ways can I talk about positioning for a law firm? You know, I think that they would my creatives would get burned out on that kind of a focus.
100%.
Yeah.
So then if you keep it industry agnostic and you do service, leading with a specific service, the other thing that's cool about that too is that you can also, Lindsay, if there's a changing tide and you are a full service agency and you're starting to see like, lead generation, no one's responding to that because there's too many people that are doing outbound emails for that. I wonder if I started to talk about websites that convert.
Yeah.
That's different.
It gives flexibility.
Yeah, it gives you flexibility to change up your offering, and it means that you have the ability to be like, again, you're going to be doing the same services, but it's what you're leading with. It's how people can understand how you're going to help them. That's pretty fun.
That is cool. And so we would lead with a service like a website, and then post sale, you get into that project a little ways. You say, hey, we were actually evaluating your social media strategy, and it looks like it could we present some ways that we can improve that? And so that it's kind of a land and expand, right? You get the account, and then it's inside sales to grow the account.
This is whenever I had the digital ad agency, we did this with all of our Fortune 2000 clients that we had. We'd go in, we'd say, hey, listen, we'd love to run your Facebook and Instagram ads. We'd get meetings, we'd get them as a client. They'd start to see results. They'd be like, wow, you guys are really fun. You're not stuffy. You're good to work with. Everybody on the team likes you. And I'm like, sweet, yeah, awesome. And it'd usually take 3 to 6 months, somewhere in there. And then I'd say, hey, we've been looking at your organic social media, and we had some ideas for, and I'd just name one channel.
So you picked a tangential offering, right? Because
Absolutely.
you were already doing your Instagram ads.
Yes.
So you didn't pick like website development. You picked something that was tangential. Yeah.
I'd be like, and these were way bigger companies, so it's different than what you're talking about. But then I'd go, I was looking at your Instagram, and I have some ideas. Can we come and pitch you some ideas next week or 2 weeks from now? And they always say yes. No one ever said no. They're like, yeah, of course, we'd love new ideas. And we signed so much business that way because they're just like, oh, wow, these ideas are really fresh. They're cool. They're fun. And so then we'd work that for 3 to 6 months. And I'd go, hey, I got another idea. I've got an idea for your Facebook page. And we just kept growing these accounts. And so at one point, Lindsay, we had clients that were paying us 7 figures every year to run their marketing. It was absurd, and it was just like, okay, cool.
But it also gives you a great growth plan within your company too, so that you don't have to go like on a hiring craziness because you just won 2 whales. You grew a little bit at a time.
Right. When you're adding
current.
Yeah, and you're going, hey, I'm adding another $35K a month in revenue, which is like, okay, I gotta hire a couple people, but we're not going nuts. And we see it coming, and we're talking with the client. We're like, listen, what we want to do is, can we get started on this? 6 weeks from now, we'd really like to roll this out. Would that be appropriate? Yeah, that's great. And so it just becomes easy.
I love it.
Oh, this is so fun. So Lindsay, if people want to check you out, they want to check out your agency, where can they go to do that?
Yeah, join us at topfoxmarketing.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being on the show. This has been so fun.
Thank you. This has been great.